Well, welcome everybody. It's great to have you back. For those of you who are coming back again to solutions that keep business owners up at night. And today we have probably one of the most positive, upbeat, motivational people that I know. Her effervescence is absolutely infectious. So let me introduce you to Lisa Peskin from the Business Development University. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, David, and thank you so much. You just made my, I think, month with your little introduction.
Well, isn't that great? So, uh, for our listening and watching group, I know you got a little bit of a story. What was your moment that you knew that you wanted to be a business owner? And not only that, but in the space about sales management and motivational leadership.
Well, I'm going to try to answer this briefly, but it had to do with my hero, who was my father, who gave me three pieces of advice as a little girl. Follow your passion, don't count on your husband for your money, and if you can, be your own boss. And after 15 years in corporate America, 12 of those at ADP, working myself from sales to sales leadership to running an entire sales force, I always knew in the back of my mind that I was going to have my own company. So I used to play office when everybody else was playing school as little girls. I always knew.
Isn't that great? That's why I thought you could share that because it's just a great story. So one of the conversations that I repeatedly have with my Vistage members, especially those that didn't come up through the sales and marketing arena, which is, by the way, most of our CEOs and business owners, is how do we know that we're maximizing our sales opportunities? And so how do you kind of gauge that? What do you look for? And then we can take a deep dive into a couple of things, but just an overview of kind of like, okay, so what do I do? What do I know? What do I got to ask? What do I see?
So back in the 90s, I figured out that a sales leader has a one-line job description. All they need to do is maximize the performance and the potential of all of their direct reports. Easier said than done. So I
Yeah,
came up with a methodology back in the 90s that I still use to this very day. And whatever our position is, if we're leading other people, we could do it on ourselves, we could do it on the folks that are working with me. It's called triage. What three areas that, if improved upon, will have the biggest impact on this individual's performance, this team's performance, or this company's performance? So, one of the questions I'd be asking if I was a CEO of my sales leaders: what are the three areas that, if you improved upon, will have the biggest impact on performance? Because the fact of the matter is, we might recognize 10 areas to improve upon, but if we hone in on the three that are going to have the biggest impact on the number, then we could drive performance.
great. Well, that sounds like a great place to start. But like many things, that's kind of like the headline. So then how do you take a deeper dive and know, well, what am I listening for and what am I looking at to kind of know? And by the way, maybe I'm going to be a coach. Maybe I'm going to help coach by just asking those right questions.
So, the fact of the matter is, this is a numbers game. We have our repeat business, we have our upsell and cross sell, and we've got our net new. And we've got certain things that we need to measure depending upon the size and complexity and industry that we're dealing with in. So what we need to do is we got to know what we need to measure. What are the key components of the formula? For instance, close ratio. The average close ratio for business to business sales is 30%, 3 out of 10, and it's three proposals or quotes to the sale. Now, there are ways to increase that close ratio that could be an easy way that we could impact sales. So when I see that a close ratio for any individual or company is lower than 30%, I know immediately it's something going on with process. They're either not running an effective first meeting, not doing a proper discovery, not presenting solutions properly, not handling objections, and not closing properly. So that's just one example. So as leaders, we got to know what we're measuring. What are the key components? One other example of that is average revenue per sale. Because if we could increase our average revenue per sale or average revenue per customer or client, that's again another way that we could really quickly affect our numbers.
Wow. So it sounds like the sales game has a lot of process to it, and certainly some measurement that we can use as leaders to be able to guide the conversations. One of the things that I've noticed that you talk a bit about, because I've had the opportunity to sit in on some of your great presentations, and I really love this because you use the term sales playbook. And I got to envision that so many successful organizations, if you're a sports team or so many others, have this a playbook. So tell me a little bit about what this playbook should have. So therefore, I know what to look for in discussions with my sales leader and my sales team.
That is a fantastic question. And I am such a big believer in sales playbooks because if we use football coaches, how many football coaches go into the game without a game plan? How many business owners go into the game without a game plan? So I believe that not only at a company level, team level, and individual level, we need to have a game plan and a playbook because we don't want our folks to reinvent the wheel. I remember back in my ADP days, it was the 6 step process. We knew that 6 step process inside and out. So when I've been developing playbooks with companies, discovery documents. It amazes me that companies don't have a good discovery document so that we can figure out ways we could help our prospects. Objection handling document, a competitive analysis. And in fact, I put together an outline for sales playbooks. And if any of your folks want to take a little dive into that, I'm happy to share because it's critical. And if you don't have one, then all you need to do is start documenting everything and start putting it into an organized place that all your folks could access so they don't need to recreate the wheel. It's already put together for them. It's a blueprint for success. And I wrote a book back during COVID. It could have been called What I Wish They Told Me When I Started in Sales, because I feel like I had to make every mistake in the book. But a lot of the stuff that I put in here are processes. What do you do when you have a prospect? What do you do when you're visiting a client? What do you do when you're visiting a center of influence? And how can you get the most out of all those interactions?
Wow. The one that piques my attention is this discovery, because I've heard of some of the other things, but when you first started to talk about discovery, I'm going, oh, so maybe tell me more about the discovery piece and
And by the way, this is so critical. So, after 39 plus years in sales and sales leadership, I believe that nobody in this whole wide world likes to be sold anything. And I think we've got to try to stop selling our stuff. It's all about figuring out how we could help them with our product or our service. So the only way that we could truly figure it out is by having a strong discovery that has good questions that allows you to uncover ways that you're going to help or could potentially help your prospect. So it's an analogous to that clipboard that you get at a doctor's office. They give you a clipboard and then you fill the whole thing out. Then they pull you out, they weigh you, take your blood pressure, ask you the same questions. The physician comes in, again, asks you the same questions, does the exam, may send you for further tests, but then and only then gives the diagnosis and prognosis. So many times in sales, people like to present, so they show up and throw up without finding out what they really care about. So this discovery document is like a form that allows you to gather the information that you need so you could figure out how to best help your prospects.
wow. Well, we don't have a ton of time left, but I'm already getting to see the picture that there is a lot that I can be discussing with my sales leader to see how they're approaching the marketplace. And so to set us up for success, I guess I call it load the lips, right? And so if you salespeople, and I can work with my sales leader to make sure that what we are offering solves people's problems. So it works kind of both ways. We're going to work down with our sales leader, but I want to hear from them, finding out from that discovery document, how do we continue to strengthen our offerings and our messaging out there in the marketplace? So,
Absolutely. Oh, I'm
pleasure.
sorry.
No, no, that's good. Anything else? Because we only got a minute or two before I'm going to have you tell everybody how they can contact you to learn more, because you flash that book up, and I know it, I've seen that. It is a great playbook to develop a playbook to make sure that you're going to be successful. Anything else that you want to mention?
So I do. So when you're a CEO that has a sales leader, you need to be able to know the questions to ask of that sales leader. And I've talked about a couple things here, but I've developed an easy to use tool that kind of encompasses all the key 10 areas that you need to know as a leader to talk to your leaders about. If anybody wants a copy of that or me to kind of just go through it with you, I'm offering anybody that's listening in a half-hour complimentary consultation. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I just might give you some ideas that might be helpful. I'll share some tools that I have. And if you want to reach me, you could easily go to my email, but it's a little long, lisa.peskin at businessdevelopmentu.com. But easier, just call me or text me at 215-651-6977. 215-651-6977. I'd love to hear from you, and certainly connect with me on LinkedIn. I look forward to the opportunity to help you out and give you some ideas. And David, thank you so much for this opportunity. I've had so much fun. I could probably talk to you for an hours about all of this stuff. So I
I
appreciate the
I
opportunity.
I know you could. That's for sure. And for everybody watching, I just want to emphasize that one pager, as I call it. I travel with that. So when I take a look at all the functions, and being a Vistage chair, again, I'm not a consultant, I coach, and so I introduce people to the best of the best. And Lisa, and this one tool, this one pager, in terms of the questions that you ask in the overview, is what I travel with when somebody wants the dialogue and we have a little bit of a resource. So with that, let me thank everybody. And Lisa, most importantly, let me thank you for a great, and see, I hope everybody caught a little bit of that infectious, motivational, positive, upbeat kind of demeanor, because it is infectious. And so
Aw,
thanks. Thanks, everybody.
thank you.